This is Lisa for Paper Maniacs for our June lesson, and we're going to start working on basic coloring of hair. Now that we've got our body image colored, we need to work on hair, and hair, it can be a little tricky. I think that these Whiff of Joy stamps, and this one is Dressing Up Willow by Whiff of Joy, and are wonderful because they add the lines in the hair for directionality. Some of the stamps do not do that, and you have to kind of figure out where it's coming from itself. I'm going to give you some basic tips and tricks. We're going to use colors that we have in the collection that are perfect for hair color. From some of the past kits, and let me give you the hair color. We're going to do a blonde on this willow because this one reminds me of my daughter. So we're going to do YR23, Y21, Y11, and Y00. And I have this close up because I think it's easier to see. These images are tiny. And the hair, I think because it's so important, we need to look at close up. So I'm going to start with my darkest color. My darkest color is my YR23. And my rule of thumb is you kind of color hair backwards, frontwards and backwards. I'm going to add my darkest color here at the crown. Okay. Once again, we're looking at an overhead light source. And let me grab my template here so I can show you. So the light is coming in here at the base of the head and leaving here. Okay. Once again, here's another tip and trick. The crown of the head's usually going to be the darkest, as well as any area by the face. Okay, and we're not going to get too crazy here. We're just going to color one little tiny piece at a time. We're going with the Y21. Blend into that. That YR23 is a perfect color for blonde hair. It also is good in some of the brunettes, but let me tell you this about it. You use too much and you can goof it up. Going in with the Y11 and blending in to that. And I think blondes, I have had the hardest time trying to find blonde colors that I really love. Let's see. Let's refer back to our light source. Once again, lightest, darkest. Now, I didn't add enough dark here. That's okay. I'm going to go back in now while I'm thinking of it. I'm going to add a little bit more. And my YR23, going back with my Y21. And I'm going to bring this up just a little bit with my Y21. Go back in with my Y11. Isn't she pretty? She reminds me of my daughter getting ready for her graduation. Going in with the Y00. Okay, now, to me, still there's a little bit too much light there, so I'm going to add a little bit more of my Y21 and blend into the YR23 here a little bit more. A little bit up to the top. Even though that's the lightest space, to be able to show that light color, you have to have that dark color. My Y11. And my Y00. And use the side blending just to kind of blend in the edges. Now, if I want to make a brighter highlight on this hair, I can go in with my colorless blender and lift some of this color. And then I could blend that back in with my Y00. And now let's start to look at the other side. And once I start doing the other side, I may come back to this side. Just letting you know. I'm going to come back over here. Things closest to the face are going to be darker. So I'm going to lay in a little bit of this YR23. I'm also going to get into this little teeny tiny curl. And I can do that with this awesome brush tip. She's super adorable, isn't she? All right, let's go in with our Y21. Blend in. And I'm going to follow the directionality of the hair a little bit. I will lay the color in, and then I will kind of start to follow that hair direction. Go in the Y11. Now to me, when I look at here, there's a shine on it. To me, that shine is going to be right there. So I'm going to add in my Y00 there, my lightest color. Now, because we can end up coloring up the colors, I'm going to add, once again, a little bit of highlight here, a little bit of highlight here. Now, the other way that you can do this to add a little bit more of a highlight is by using your white opaque marker from Essentials. And Patty sells these at her store too. They're a little tough to get started, I think. Once you do, they're just awesome. So you get started. I'm going to work it on another piece of paper real quick to make sure it's working. And I will come in here and add my highlight here, my highlight there. Okay. Now, let's look at the pieces by her face. Everything by the face tends to be the darkest. And because there's a lot of hair here, sometimes I catch myself and I've goofed up and colored dress when it should have colored hair. Oh, and I missed a neck. Look at that. It happens. Sometimes until you get them colored, you don't know that they're what piece of the puzzle they are there. And I am using more than 2 colors to blend. I am using more than 3 colors to blend. You can use as many colors you want to blend as you want to. With my darkest color. Now, this hair piece, the hair of her bangs is going to be shadowing up here, so it's going to be a little darker there. Okay. Going with my Y21, blend into this. I love watching these images come alive. Now, let me give you a tip. I did the face first on this because of the fact that we were talking about body tones first, body coloring first. If I were coloring my image by myself in my room and not teaching, what I would do is I would color the face last. The reason why I would color the face last is because it's easy to goof it up. It's easy to have a little bleeding from the hair because the hair requires, especially with brunettes, a lot of blending. So going with the Y11, you may want to consider that and do your face color last. There's been many a time where, you know, do you ever remember that old World of Sports thing? Maybe I'm really dating myself here, like I'm a million years old. But do you remember how they'd say, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat? And then you see this poor guy, you know, crash off his skis, off of that ski jump thing. Well, that's kind of the way this is. You know, you get through your entire face and it turns out beautifully, you know, like the cheeks and everything else. And then the thrill of victory, right? Then the agony of defeat kicks in and you bleed the color from your other markers from the hair all over the face. Going with the darker color here just because there's a little shadowing here. That is the worst. So just as a tip from me to you, you do with it what you like, color your face last. And if I get bleeding when we show the brunette hair color, you will see what I'm talking about. And we will all experience, it will be like that horrible agony of defeat video from the World of Sports from 3 million years ago. Any younger people have no clue what I'm talking about. It's kind of sad. All right. My music is showing up. It's Muzak too. It's disturbing. All right, so we're going to go on this other side. Once again, using the YR23. Darkest by the face. Oh, and you have to be really careful by her face here. Okay, once again, this is where the mess up could happen right there. Phew, we escaped it. Go by her sleeve there. And once again, her bangs will kind of shadow that. Go on with my Y21. There you go. Blend that in. Yeah, let's look again at our overhead. Okay, lightest, darkest. You see that? And this is kind of following it. Here's the lightest, here's the darkest. But once again, this bang is shadowing it, so we're going to have darker there because of that bang shadowing too. And because